Bioshock and the Bioshock series has been one of the many titles that has been recommended to me by my friends since its release about 16 years ago. I'm not old, I promise. And there are a couple reasons why I have put it off. One of those being that first-person shooters that are story-driven just really isn't my jam. I'll play some first-person shooter multiplayer games, but when it comes to shoot-'em-up campaigns, I get fairly bored or annoyed because I am bad at aiming sometimes. Reason number 2 is that sometimes I can be a scaredy little bitch to anything that resembles a scary game. And there might have been some moments playing this game that I have been a scared little boy. No! But alas, I have finally mustered some courage to finally play through this esteemed game that starts off the beloved Bioshock franchise, and of course, doing so had to be on stream so I wouldn't feel truly alone through all of these scary adventures, and then to, of course, review it in my Casual Gamer Review series. And if you are new in these parts, you may be asking yourself, oh, what is a Casual Gamer Review, you may ask? And I can detail that to you in a very simple, scripted answer. I refer to this as a Casual Gamer Review because I refer to myself as a casual gamer. I have the tendency to drop games at the slight hint of boredom to where it just sits on the I'll get back to it shelf till it collects enough dust I will never have to look at its sadly lonely eyes again. But since I have started streaming playing through games and then reviewing them, I have made it a goal to at least finish the main story of said game, and whatever I feel like I want to complete on top of it will of course help in the review. Some games I complete and that's that. And some, I'll go into every corner and scavenge for every collectible and finish each side quest, which will of course help the rating. In this review of Bioshock Remastered, I'll be talking about the story, the combat at length, because there's a lot of combat in this game, and the hacking. And then I'll end off with some other pros and cons that need to be noted, and then end off with my review rating, because that matters to some, mainly myself. Let's get on with the review. The story of Bioshock took me by surprise, to say the least. I will do my best to avoid spoilers as much as possible, but I cannot guarantee it. But of course, this is an old game, so you might also know these spoilers, but if you don't want to have any of those, maybe this isn't for you, because I don't trust myself to not spoil anything for you. I should have to start off by noting that this game is also 16 years old, and that makes me feel the warm embrace of my deathbed pull me down, because that makes me feel so very old. But I have to state that mainly because this game and the story has been around for quite a while and has been talked about for its world building and twists and turns. Even though I have never started up this game, I had a basic idea of the story and its plot twist going into it, which I thought would take away from my experience. Well, I thought wrong, because as I was forced to explore the eerie tunnels of Rapture, the place that this game takes place, under the ocean, I would find myself constantly wondering how it's all going to come together. Who is truly on what I would perceive as the good and bad side? Was I making the correct decisions of saving the little sisters after slaying daddies? I would always be interested in what the characters were saying to me, even picking up every audio log and playing it, trying to pinpoint the true evil in this terrifying place. One thing I thought I was confident in was the big twist of the game, as it has been talked about since the game came out. And yes, I know all along who the bad guy was supposed to be and what the twist was supposed to be, but there was a certain level of the twist that I did not expect to happen, and boy, did my jaw drop during that whole scene, and that whole twist alone raised my rating up enough to get it out of like an average-ish score. But all in all, the base of the story, you're in this scary place called Rapture, trapped there. You're trying to find all the answers and escape routes out of it with the help of the people down there. Do you trust them? Do you not? You have to fight through a bunch of enemies and, daddies. And will you get out? Who knows? Who's the evil? Are you going to defeat them? You have to decide. It's an all in all. It's a above average story with the twists, helped a lot, and that's what kept me going throughout the whole thing, because I actually wanted to know how it was all going to come together and what was going to happen at the end. do we survive? That's the main thing. I like surviving. There's multiple endings. I found one. And as I talk about the combat later on, I have, of course, chosen to save the little sisters from the daddies. And that, of course, changed my ending. But when I talk about combat, I'll mention me saving sisters and whatnot. But yeah, on to the combat. The combat in Bioshock is fairly basic, being that of the first-person shooter genre. But it has its fun little additions, to it to make it interesting and different from other shooting games. The first thing I should talk about is you have weapon wheels, and it's accessed by the R1 button. I'll be talking about PlayStation controls because that's what I played on, to cycle through your primary weapon wheel. In it contains weapons ranging from an array of guns, launchers, mines, and of course your trusty wrench for melee damage to use when you are low or trying to preserve on your limited ammo resources. Each of these that you can select can also switch between different ammo types that are better used in certain situations and fights. But you aren't just a shoot-'em-up tough guy. Oh no! You also have access to powers granted to you by Adam, which is some gooey-like stuff you inject yourself with. How sweet! You also have an arsenal of powers gained by Adam and plasmas, which they'll also call Eve, as your magic. You find to give you an advantage against the onslaught of crazed enemies, and of course the daddies. You can swap between powers using the L1 to cycle through your power wheel that range from fire, lightning, mind control, and many more. All of these, of course, use Eve, which, again, is this game's fancy way of saying magic. The wheel aspect of the game was difficult at first, as I would mainly panic. Over time, I got used to it, but it would still feel a tad bit clunky, having to keep swapping between guns, and then swap between your secondary ammo, and then you have to switch between your powers. It got a little clunky at times, and I would mess up which one I wanted. Then I switched to a gun that has no ammo, and then I have to switch to a different gun, and then I have to switch to a specific type of ammo, and then I had to switch to a different power that used a certain amount of Eve in certain situations. It just got a little difficult at times, but it's whatever. I hope in the next couple titles there is a more fluid way of switching between guns and plasmids, as well as maybe just making the wrench as its own melee weapon instead of taking up a weapons wheel swap, because to me, I mainly use the wheel. So it'd be nice if I didn't have to switch to the wrench. I said wheel earlier. Just let me hit one button, because I'm tired of using just let me switch to one button. It's whatever. And if you're smart, not like me, you can combo your powers with each other or with your weapons or just the environment in general to give you as much of an advantage as you need to survive the horrors that is Rapture. The main one that I used for almost every fight was the one that they show you in the tutorial, which is Shock Bad Guy with wrench, big damage, thank you very much, good night. Walking through Rapture, you can also obtain medkits and Eve vials to replenish health and, well, Eve, as you will need them because you will take hits and you will be using your superpowers, i.e. combos, but those, as well as ammo and money, are limited to what you find in Rapture. I found myself becoming the true loot goblin I am and searched every room, enemy, and chest I possibly could so that I could have enough resources to survive the next area. And there are also several different kiosks you can use in the game that provide different things like resources, upgrades, plasmids, and so on. And that kind of helps when you're low on stuff and you have enough money, you can spend all your hard-earned money to get some stuff back to survive the next hell. Anyways, I did like that there was a limited source of ammo, money, and healing, because it does make the way you play more strategic rather than run and gun. And it also makes it, very realistic, as you are trapped in this hell, so you shouldn't just have a mass amount of resources that you can just get at all times. I would find myself trying my best to solve most combats with just my wrench and lightning, but even then, only the wrench, because there was times I was very low on Eve, so sometimes I would just whack people without even using magic. The only time I would resort to using my guns was against fighting the daddies, or a big wave of enemies with guns themselves and turrets. Oh my god, there's so many turrets everywhere, and boy do they rarely miss when you poke your head out of that wall. We do need a further talk about fighting the big bad daddies. These are the main bad guys that roam Rapture, and oh my god, do they make this game, to me, intense. You'll just be roaming around and you'll hear their groans along with them stomping around, and the change of mood is crazy. I, of course, want to avoid these things because why would I want to fight this? And oh yeah, it's because they are guarding a sister you gotta save or kill to upgrade yourself. If the game didn't do this, no way would I want to fight them, because even though they are intimidating, they are also a bitch to kill sometimes. They suck up all of the ammo, health, and Eve every time. Even though I hate them, without them, this game would have just been a breeze and nowhere near as tense to go through. And also, they are pretty iconic. I felt as if the difficulty in the game did well to increase gradually as you upgrade yourself, as well as just overall improve. As you progress on and are just about to start the next area of the game, it will remind you, like, hey, you haven't taken down all of the daddies protecting little sisters. Maybe you should do that to maximize your upgrades, because the game will get harder. To which I said, you really think I'm turning around and facing that hell for any longer than I should? Hell no, we're moving forward. To which I started to realize the game was right. I might have one of those extra upgrades for the latter half of the game, but we ball. And of course, as you progress, enemies will hit harder and take a lot more to go down, which I think is fine, as it makes it feel like the deeper you get into Rapture, the crazier it gets. I would just have to further evolve my way of playing to take down those greater foes. Overall, combat aspect of the game was good. It kept me on my toes. Only slight little things that I would change, like the whole fluidity of the weapon wheel and making the wrench to melee weapons, and there's just some like finicky things, like sometimes it just wasn't perfect at all times. But again, 16-year-old game, oh my god, I am dying of old age. On to the hacking. In the hacking section of this won't take as long because it's not as big as the combat, but I'll just start off by saying, when I was first introduced to the hacking aspect of the game, I did enjoy it. I thought it was a fun little escape from the combat aspect of it, and they made it, useful. You could use hacking to make turrets that, are hell, and they are very accurate, become on your side. You just have to get point A of tubing to point B of tubing before the liquid reaches to where you currently are and spills out, or against walls and whatnot. But you get point A to point B, that turret is on your side. You can also hack the kiosk in the game to make things a lot cheaper, or to even make some resources available, because there's some kiosks that provide like health or Eve vials that can only be available to you by hacking. There's also safes in the game that you can hack that have very valuable loot on the inside. These are the more harder ones. Of course, they do provide a auto hack tool that you could find or purchase throughout the game, where if you go to the hacking screen, you can just use it and then you have an auto success. It's very nice. And at the beginning of the game, hacking was a breeze. I would hack anything that would come into my way to give me the advantage. Turrets, hello, thank you, you're on my side. Kiosk, I don't want to spend as much money. Safes, this would be the few times that I would use the auto hack tool, because they were a tad bit difficult and I just wanted to loot, get on my way. But just like the difficulty of the enemies, the hacking turns the difficulty up a little bit as you progress through Rapture. And I am a fan of raising difficulty, but this was a little different. Not only does it feel like every turn that you take is a turret that you can hack, because my god, turrets are everywhere. It feels like every few seconds you're hacking something. Oh, I forgot to mention cameras. You can hack cameras, which you definitely should do, because if they see you, they shoot drones at you. You can also hack those. Whatever, I forgot about mentioning that earlier, but that also adds on to, you can hack everything, and everything is attacking you, and hacking just makes your life easier. But oh my god, the difficulty of hacking gets stupid dumb, to the point where there are some times where I loaded up in my liquid and starting point A was already going into a piece that couldn't travel through. So if I didn't have Lightning McQueen speed, I pretty much auto fail. They have an auto fail inventory thing using against me because it happened more than once. And honestly, I don't know if it's pre-selected puzzles they have to go through every time, or if it's honestly just random number generator bullshit. But even then, if I was able to react sometimes and I would start going down a certain path, I would find multiple tiles that I can't pass through, and then I would find myself in a box of non-passive throughable tiles. So I just happened to pick left when right was the only choice. Straight wasn't right. You can only pick one direction. How would I know based on tile 1? Like, give me any other way to get out besides one direction. It's a band, boy band. That monstrosity mixed with having to do it every few seconds kind of got to me a little bit, and it made me very upset, especially since it was dumb easy at the beginning and then it was just sometimes unwinnable at the end. For me, maybe some people didn't have this trouble, but there was multiplications for me where, again, auto fail, very frustrating. But let's go back to being calm. Hopefully, in the next games, this is improved to where maybe there's not just one different puzzle or one kind of puzzle that you have to keep doing 80,000 times in one game. Maybe a array of puzzles that we can do that are winnable. Let's not forget, let's harp on that winnable thing through all points of the game. Difficulty's fine. I love difficult puzzles. I mean, they make me sweat, but I do like difficulty, and difficulty gradually getting harder, i.e. the combat. But when we do puzzles next time, let's make them winnable. That's all I ask. Especially when, again, it's everywhere. Okay, let's get to the end. Let's just get to the end. Overall, I did enjoy playing Bioshock for the very first time. The only thing negative that I have to say is really just my own personal opinion. I don't like being spooky all the time. That's just negative to me. That makes me not want to play it again. Did I enjoy myself through one playthrough? Yes. I just won't play it again. The twists? Love twist. Bumps the score up a lot for me. And overall, the story was great. Well written. All the characters that have come through, super interesting. Voice acting throughout the game, love that. Combat was fine for a shooter game. It could have been better, but it also could be way worse. So I won't harp on it too much. We're just looking for more of a fluidity type thing, because it is the main thing that you are doing is shooting everybody, including the daddies. And of course, the hacking can go away. But anyways, that's Bioshock. I enjoyed it for the most part. I just wouldn't play it again. And as soon as I finished it, I was done, because I don't like going through scary, spooky tunnels. Before the twist, I thought this game was like a solid 7 out of 10. With the twist, I probably let's go with a 7.5 out of 10. I think that's a very reasonable score for someone that doesn't like these type of games. And I'm looking forward to playing the sequel. So that's cool. I just won't replay them. I'll just play them through one time and I'll enjoy myself. But that's my casual gamer review rating. Please don't take it personally. I'm not a professional. I'm just saying stuff that pops into my brain that makes sense to me as a gamer. I was putting it out there and maybe someone feels the same. And if they don't feel the same, we can always talk about it in the comments. Maybe I'm wrong about some stuff. I probably messed up the whole atom plasmid naming in the right area thing. And that's totally fine. But maybe you enjoyed your time here, even if it made you a little, even if you disagreed with it. If you did, maybe you hit that subscribe button for the next one. And if you want to see me go through hell live, why don't you come to my Twitch? Those links in the description, as well as the playlist to all my other reviews in the description in the Bioshock playthrough. Go see them all. Until next time, I hope everyone has a great day. Goodbye.